there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Well, let me, Mrs. Shaw, we did go in and look in. As far as this was advertised as a special public business meeting. A special public business meeting.
Okay.
Which means that, unlike an emergency meeting, we can't conduct other business. Okay, so we will be conducting the regular business tonight. Okay? May I have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Point of order, Mr. President, the agenda says regular public meeting.
Did you or did you not address that in the beginning of the meeting, Mr.?
I did, Mr. Zangari, thank you very much. And I will no longer address anyone yelling out from the public, thank you. Okay, moving on to resolutions, may I have a motion on A, personnel?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, can you please vote A12 separately, please? Split the two candidates?
If I understand this correctly, Mr. Kugler would like you to poll number 12 separately and as 12A and 12B?
Correct.
James Damiano being 12A. Joseph Fisher being 12B.
Yes, please.
Is there any discussion? No further discussion? Mr. Jacob?
So, I'm sorry, Mr. President, is there going to be 3 votes then? A12,
There will be 3 votes. There will
Three
be,
votes. The
there will be
balance-
12 will be polled separately as A and B,
all right.
and the balance of the,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, Mr. Jacobus, would you please poll the board?
Do you want to do the balance first, or you want to do 12A and 12B?
Let's do the balance first, and then we'll do 12A and B.
Okay, so based on the statement prior, Mr. Kugler, for the
Yes.
balance? Yes.
So
Mrs.
12A?
Torres?
I'll do the balance.
Yes.
Mr. Zagari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
This would be on 12A. Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Okay, on 12B, Mr. Kugler?
Take no part.
Abstain. Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zagari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Take no part.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to B, curriculum and instruction. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo? Yes. Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on, C, board action, board policy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo? Yes. Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to D, purchasing and business services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo? Yes. Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to E, finance. May I have a motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mr. Frida?
Yes.
Mr. Longo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you and good night.